Hey everyone, it is February 3rd, 2017, and this is the 17th. No, this is not the 17th. This is the 13th Ask Know Your Gear live episode. So I got my coffee today. I hope you guys all had a great week. Please feel free, right? Let's ask some questions. Also this week, let me know if you've recently acquired a cool piece of gear or if there's a piece of gear on your dream list. Let me move this out of my way. And that you guys been drooling over, so to speak. And you guys are already asking some cool questions, so we'll get right to it. All right. Let's see. Dee's got a question. Dee says, hey, Philip, where do you advertise the live stream shows? Dee, that will be improved probably next week. If you've been watching this live stream for the last, let's say, dozen, you'll know that most of them, about 60-70% have ended or started with technical difficulty. And that's because each time you do one of these, you kind of learn a hurdle that's put in front of you. I believe now I have it under control. I've started the show exactly at 3 o'clock today. Everything seemed kind of seamless and good. So I will go back to advertising them heavily again. I was advertising them, but we had some hiccups. So that's all corrected. So now this one worked great, hiccup free. Next week will be heavily advertised so that you guys know it's coming up. It's every Friday at 3 p.m. I live in Arizona, so it's Arizona time. I guess that's Mountain Standard Time. Arizona's got its own time zone. Next up. Next is... Yeah, see, Kyle said on time for once. Yeah, see, Kyle understands. He's been hanging for a while. He knows how painful it's been to watch the beginnings of a lot of these. Tony says, hi, Phil. Was wondering if you can explain how tube amps work. Tony, that's a great question. Here's something to think about, and I want to keep it layman's. I don't want to keep it more complicated than it needs. But what's interesting thing about a tube amp is that they work the same way a solid-state amp works. And the idea that you have to have the same basic components, like a car, right? You have to have transmission, you have to have an engine, you have tires, right? These things have to come together. Steering wheel, these things make a vehicle. A tube amplifier works the same way. You have to have an output transformer, an input transformer. You have to have power tubes. That's actually where the power is regulated and controlled and actually comes from. And then you have preamp tubes, and that's generally where the sound is created. And what's interesting is, what most people don't realize is that based on the technology at the time when they made tube amps, so each component in the amplifier generally has to have a tube. Let me give you an example. So like, if you have a clean channel and a dirty channel, each channel requires at least one preamp tube assigned to each channel. Then you would need two power tubes, let's say if it's a 25 watt amp, and then you need a preamp tube that actually works with those two power tubes in between them. It's like a push-pull. And then if you have reverb, you need a preamp tube for the reverb, and if you have tremolo, you need another preamp tube for the tremolo. And that's before the fact that you try to add any extra preamp tubes to any of the clean or dirty sections, mostly the dirty section, to give it more gain. So that is the main componentry of what's important about a tube amp. But the main thing why everybody's always been focused on tube amps is that it gets confusing because there's two reasons why you want a tube amp. One is like a long-haul trucker driving a diesel engine. Tube amps love being worked, and they love it when they're hot and they growl. So when you turn a tube amp up at volume-wise, it actually roars. It actually cuts through the mix. It does something that's very pleasing. And to solid state, you have to generally have much more power to get to the same point. And a lot of players now really don't need that kind of volume unless you're in a metal band. So tube amps really now have just become this type of amplifier that we like the way it feels when we play it. But solid state and digital is definitely catching up in the way it works. Okay, let's see. A lot of people saying hi. Czech Republic, hey, how's it going? That's Michael. From Australia, Alex saying hey. Nathaniel saying compressor pedal. Yes, no. Well, Nathaniel, I'm a horrible person to ask. I love compressor pedals. I think everybody should try one, if not have one. Sean saying, hey, will the recent Trump proposed on Mexican imports drastically change the price of MIM Fenders? I don't know. None of us know, right? No one of us knows if that even will happen, and B, if it does happen, what the effect will dramatically be. Everybody can throw speculations, and those speculations can be as extreme as it has no effect, or it might destroy the whole world as we know it. But I would imagine that in Fender's case, much different than a lot of manufacturers like Lego and Ford that are there, Fender can really adjust a lot of things in between the American and Mexican factory, probably to absorb a lot of that pain. The truth is, now that the American Strats are hitting the $1,300, $1,400, $1,500 range, to be honest with you, I really don't want to live in a world where Mexican Strats are over $600, but they have the ability to get them there. If they took them to $700, it would just make sense against the American stuff. Somebody said, nice coffee. That's John. Thank you. Got my Fender mug here. Let's see. Okay, I can't. It's 669864 Floyd says, I ordered a guitar online. It's been 2 weeks and it hasn't arrived yet. What should I do? Well, it depends. Was it in stock when you when you ordered it? That's the trick. If it was in stock, if you ordered it online from somebody who had it in stock and shipped it, there's no excuse. However, if they're waiting for a back order list, at this point, I would find out. But more importantly, no one really should tag your credit card if you're doing a pre-order. So, right? But my best advice is communicate with them. Contact them, and it happens to me sometimes, right? I try to reassure everybody by sending them tracking number, and then sometimes you have to get personally involved in what the process and make the person who's getting the guitar know what's going on. I know your pain. I had a guitar. I bought that gem right there, and the seller took, I don't know where it's at, right there. The seller took a couple weeks. I think it took a week and a half before he even shipped it, which, it makes you freaky. Harry says, happy Friday. Happy Friday, Harry. Let's see. Joe says he's late. Now, I'm not late, Joe, so somebody else is late. Phil, how come guitars vibrate in the body when you play them and some don't, even within the same model? Well, that's a good question, Brian. My experience with them has been the density. So some wood is denser than others, and that usually has to do when you cut a tree down. Think of it this way. If a tree is heavier at the bottom than it is at the top when it's alive, right? Because when you cut, the tree is full of water. And when you cut the tree down and it falls over and it dries out, because there was less water in the top part of the tree than there was the bottom, when it dries out, it'll become more dense, right? Because there was less air pockets. As the water evaporated out, that creates like air, and the fibers constrict in, but they can become more dense if there was less moisture in there. So one guitar body can actually be 2 pounds different than the same type of guitar body because of the fact that where it was in the tree, right? And if you think about it, more of the tree is not at the bottom. So a lot of the wood is going to be on the heavier side than on the lighter side. But that's why. And that density really will restrict how the vibrations come through it. Let's see. Justin says, hey, love your guitar. Thank you, Justin. And if I'm skipping over everybody, I'm trying to find them. There is, how many? There's 240 of you watching, which is amazing and awesome, but also makes it a little hard to keep up. Okay. Pot the Bard. Pot the Bard says, Philip, what is your take on the bias head? I haven't tried it. I think for 2017, I have decided in myself that I'm going to check out the bias, the Helix, the Axe-Fx, and the Kemper. And we were talking about this. If you guys saw that I did the Larry Mitchell thing, Larry Mitchell was using an Axe-Fx. It sounded fantastic. But the real problem I had is as fantastic as it was, it's not like that's the choice. There's that Kemper, right? I was at the NAMM show. John Mayer was there. He's using a Kemper, and he talked about that briefly. So it's very confusing. The bias, my understanding is the bias is like as good, if not better, but a lot less inexpensive. So I want to check it out. John says, hey, got a telly this week. John, you got a telly this week? That's awesome. I'm a telly fan. There's my telly right there. Remember, my camera angle's flipped. So let's see. Will says, how many guitars you have? Will, it's an easy answer. I always have plus or minus a couple around 20. I'll never exceed that anymore. I got as crazy in 2007. I probably had 60. It was out of control, and I was just, out of control. That was the highest, craziest I ever got. And most of the time in my life, I've had about a dozen. Now I float around 20. So I could have as many as 24 and as little as like 19 or 18. Because a few stay and a few go, right? There's always something to try. Let's see. Nate says, hey, Phil. Hey, Nate, how are you? And let's go. And like I said, if I skipped over some, I'll try and hit them back again. Roy Roy Fafard? Heck, I don't know. Fafard? Roy is from Louisiana. Hey, from Louisiana. Let's see. Okay, Wade's saying, hey, he's thinking about getting the Ampeg Micro CL. I've had one. It was cool. I think it's that little head and cabinet, right? That was a cool little rig. I don't know if I regret getting rid of it, but I miss it a little bit. Mirslavov says he wants to buy a darn Squire. I am going to be doing a lot of Squire reviews. I promised everybody 2 months ago I was doing all these Squire reviews. I actually started on them, and some stuff happened, and it didn't work out. And so now I got it all worked out. So I'll have it all done. Let's see. Lawrence Petros. Hey, Lawrence, how's it going? Recently picked up 2000 Ibanez RGA 121 in crushed ruby. Amazing guitar. I saw the picture on, I don't know, Instagram or Twitter. I think it was Instagram today, Lawrence. Yeah, the guitar was gorgeous. Let's see. Magneto says, hey, ashtrays for Strats. I'm not big on them. Makes my hands sit too high above the bridge. It's really not my thing, but Alex wants to know, Philip, do you like Strymon gear? I am not a huge Strymon fan. I have two friends, close friends, that are Strymon fanatics, and they have Strymon and love Strymon. My buddy Eddie has the Strymon Mobius, and he loves it. And my buddy Frank has, I think, everything Strymon, and they love it. And when I hear the stuff, it's totally quality, and I have I've just not bought any of it, but it's not for any reason. It's like that, hey, you can't have everything kind of thing. And it's just something that didn't get on my radar. But the Big Sky, all I hear is such great things, but I'm happy with the reverb pedal I have now. Let's see. Nate asked, what do I think of the Jem Jr? I've actually answered this question a bunch of times. I made a point at the NAMM show to touch one again, just to make sure this question came back up. And after touching it, I was really impressed. So yeah, Jem Jr. is way to go. I give it a high five or a thumbs up or whatever. Anyways, good to go. I wanted to do it. So I did. I put my hands on it at the NAMM show. I was checking it out. I was like, hey, this is a question I get asked a lot. Probably because I have gems. And I actually was at the show and I was touching the Indonesian gems and the Japanese gems. And they, like I said, I stick with my original statement before. The necks are different. The Jem Jr.'s neck's slightly thicker, but I actually prefer that. I actually like that better, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Justin said he just bought a guitar to restore. That is my favorite, man. I love it when people learn to work on guitars. We live in a time now where you can buy a guitar for what a setup costs. It's a junk guitar, and learn to do it. And you guys might be happy to know this, but I have been working very, very hard. In fact, very, very hard. Creating a new video series. It'll all upload at once. So what will happen is you'll see the video that will come up will be telling you that those videos got released and how to get to them. But there will be a video series on how to do setups, maintenance, all this stuff. I want a complete series. Including where you can download the PDFs that I use for how to measure and what to do, and everything from what tools I think you absolutely have to what tools you don't, are kind of like you might want but don't worry about. And but what I did is I compartmentalized the video. So instead of making setup videos that are 30, 40 minutes to an hour long, I broke them in 5-minute sections and categorized them by, how to take off the strings, how to put on the strings, right? So you can skip stuff that you just don't care about or don't, know how to do or you feel okay with. So that's coming. That's this month. I don't know when this month, but I just got to finish editing. Let's see. Big Idea 100 said he drools over the Axe Effects too. Big Idea, Larry's AX8 sounded so good. It was so amazing. I can't believe it. Especially when he was running to the PA. And what's great about that was the PA he used is my PA. And we run all kinds of stuff to that PA. So I know what like a good stomp box sounds to the PA. So I know how good it was. Ed Dana says, hi, Aiden. Hey, Ed Dana, how's it going? What are your thoughts on the Jim Woody? Jonathan. Okay, so the Jim Woody, I even just watched the, did you guys watch the video? There's a Jim video where Steve Vai shows how they made the Woody. I can't believe I'm saying this considering the guitars that I own, which are goofy, right? And over the top. I thought it was a little over the top, but it's still a good looking guitar. I don't know if I would ever get one for me personally, but I think as gems go, it's one of the cooler gems. Gems for me are just to remind me of how cool it was when I was a teenager. When I was a teenager, this was what it was everybody had. And then I don't know if I told this story. I don't want to ever bore anybody with telling the stories over and over again. But the way my high school years worked out was I went into high school and this stuff was in vogue, the gems and all that stuff. And then very soon, before I even hit my sophomore year, that stuff all died. And I always felt cheated my whole life because I never, as a kid, I was learning the guitar to check that kind of stuff out, and then it just died. So now I have this kind of this desire to collect it. Bill Hayes says, "Hey Phil, what is your thoughts on Godin guitars? They are fantastic. And my next guitar will probably be the Godin A6. One of my biggest regrets, well, I don't want to say that. I'll probably say that about every guitar you get rid of, right? It's the biggest regret. But I do regret getting rid of my Godin A6. I got rid of my Godin A6 because I had the Parker Fly, and I just felt silly having two guitars that did a piezo system. But really, to be honest with you, I should have kept the Godin A6. So I plan to get a Godin A6 again. And Godin guitars are fantastic. I always tell everybody, best guitars, they're like Kiesel. The stuff is just better than what it costs. Does that make sense? Cool vibe, good look, great ideas. They're kind of going up in price though. That's the only thing about Godin. Just like Kiesel, it's not, every time I check it out, it's not as inexpensive as I remember it. Seems like the price is inch up. There's a couple right here. Nate says, "Hey, I got a 1979 Gibson Custom Shop Black Beauty." Well, that's pretty much the holy grail right there, right? The Black Beauty Les Paul. So when you say you got a 1979 Gibson Custom Shop, so it's the reissue, right? It's a 1979 Custom Shop reissue? Or did you get a real 1979? Not that it matters. I'm just kind of curious. Black Beauty is, that's what's great. Those iconic guitars. I mean, what's great about a Black Beauty, guitars like that? That's one thing Fender and Gibson are always going to rule in this world for. That guitar's timeless. You get that guitar, it never goes out of fashion. It never goes, you never not need to, never going to not want one. So you have it forever. DBottom25 says, "I just got a Strum & Comfort Stone pick from last week's show." Oh, cool. Did you get the one like I got? Did he, right? That guy's name's Greg, right? He's amazing guy. I'm going to do some reviews of his picks, but I'm working. I told him when I talked to him at the show that I want to do a review, but not of just his products, but do another of the 7 unique, items again. I like doing those videos. Actually, one of my top fave videos are those 7 unique things. I love finding weird things and then, talking about them. Let's see. Clayton says, "Hey Phil, I got a new piece of gear, the Katana 50. Yeah, good amp, right? It's disgusting how good they made an amp for $200, 50 watts for $200. We actually, me and my buddy Joe went crazy, and Patrick. So my buddies Patrick and Joe went crazy, and we put like the Blues Cube Hot, the Cube 80, or could have been the 40 or both, the Fender Champion 40. We did the Katana. We did all these amps, put them in a row and tried them out, and the Katana was the best one. And it was interesting because it was the cheapest one, basically. Or it was matched for the cheapest one. So, let's see. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Phil. Any thoughts on PRS Sonzera amps? I'm pretty excited. Yes, I am very excited about Sonzera. I have the Archon 25 right here. It's actually right here. This is the Archon 25 combo. And I will be soon doing a review back-to-back of the Sonzera 20 watt versus the Archon 25 watt. That way I want to give you guys hey, this is a $1,350 street price amp versus a $800 street price amp, and you guys can get a reference of that. They're not going to sound a lot alike. The Sonzera has less gain than the Archon. It's not as high gain. It doesn't thrust into the light metal genre. It's definitely hard rock blues amp. I think they're going to kill with these things, right? And I think they're doing it right. I think that's what's they're making sure that they're not having any issues. They're going to be putting out great stuff. Fred's saying the same thing. Hi, Phil. Can you talk about the Sonzera amps? Yeah, I think it's great. The only issue is I wish they would have made a 20 watt head, but they're not gonna. They're not even making any cabinets. There's just the 3 pieces: the 50 watt combo and head, and the 20 watt combo. At this point, Fender is putting their toe in the water of these import amps. They really want this to work, and they can't afford to have order 300 cabinets and 300 heads and then sell the 300 heads and only, still have 150 cabinets left. They can't, because that's their capital. Their money would be tied up in those cabinets. They need to churn and burn. In other words, they need the Sonzeras to land, get all to us, out there, and then order another set and keep them going, especially with lead times coming from overseas. I'm pretty sure the Sonzeras are made in China. Plus they need time to inspect each amp because, they're Paul Reed Smith and they know quality. GTMM says, hey, Philip, Mesa Triple Crown to 50. Thoughts? I have not checked it out. I did reach out to Mesa Boogie because they're not at the NAMM show. This is before the NAMM show, and said, hey, I would love on my own dime to come out to California and do some reviews and put them up when all the NAMM videos on, because everybody's going to see 1,000 NAMM videos at in January. And I said, but you and G&L would be great but you're not there. I would like to do the videos, and I'll throw them up around the same time, so when everybody's looking at NAMM stuff, new stuff, you'll see them. They weren't interested. So I don't know why free advertising was hard to give to them, because that's basically what it was. It's all on my dime and their advertising, but they weren't interested. I don't know if they didn't like the channel or what the deal was. But I talked to the marketing guy, and he just wasn't interested in dealing with me. So Cam Demand says, hey, from New Mexico, I have an EVH 5150-112 combo, and I'm thinking of buying an extra cab. Preferably the 212. EVH has one. They do. Is it safe to run the combo and the 212 and... Wait, is it safe to run my combo with the 212 and the speaker in the combo? Yes, you can. Eddie Van Halen, believe it or not, has a kind of weird thing. He only likes 16 ohms. So it's unique about Eddie Van Halen's brand, EVH. The 112 cabinet, the 212 cabinet, the 412 cabinet, and the 112 combos are all 16 ohms. Okay, so all of them. So if you buy the 212 cabinet, it'll be 16 ohms, and the internal speaker in your combo is 16 ohms. So there's a switch on the back. You would switch it to 8 ohms. 16 and 16, you go to 8. So yeah, you absolutely could do that. So you probably could even get crazier and even add more than that, because I think the amp goes to 4 ohms. But let's keep it easy. The answer is absolutely can do that. You just want to make sure that you match the switch in the back, 8 ohms, when you have both cabinets installed. And if you're concerned in any way, there's a manual that comes with the cabinet when you acquire the cabinet, and it will tell you exactly what to do. So pretty easy. Clay says, thanks for answering my question about the Jackson last time. One more question about Jacksons. Do you think the King V is more comfortable than the Randy Rhoads? No, I love, everybody's different. Huge Randy Rhoads fans out there. I don't want to upset anybody. I love the King V's look more than the Randy Rhoads. I don't really dig the Randy Rhoads look as much, but Randy Rhoads is definitely a more comfortable guitar. I mean, that's the entire reason Randy Rhoads commissioned Grover Jackson to build that guitar, was he needed something that he could actually, sit when he was teaching his students when he wasn't touring with Ozzy. He wanted to sit, and because he sits in classical playing position, is what Grover Jackson was saying. And then Jonathan saying the same thing. Phil, thoughts on the Jim Woody? I already covered that, Jonathan. So when you watch the rebroadcast of that, I talked about that earlier. Phil says, Fender Bassman 15 head or Peavey Classic 20 MH head. I personally like the Classic 20 MH head more, and that says a lot. Because I'm more of a Fender fan than a Peavey fan. But in those two amps, I have to hand it to Peavey. They nailed it. I think the Bass Breaker 15 has a better distortion, okay? Sound-wise. I think it's just a little better. But feature set and price, it's hard. Because think of this. If it was me, I can only tell you what I would do. I'd get the Peavey Classic 20 and a good overdrive pedal. You would still be at $600, and that's if you don't find a good deal on those. That's just paying the retails, right? And that would still put you at under the Bass Breaker. So that's just something, food for thought. It's smaller, lighter. It's got more features. It seems to be built well. I haven't seen a bad one yet, so good to go. Alberg 3172 says, hey, Phil, it's been looking for an overdrive. You've been looking for an overdrive? That's cool. That can do some good mid to high gain stuff from Marshall DSL 40. Need convenience of a pedal. Would the full tone OCD be good? The full tone OCD is a great pedal. However, I look at it, and everybody's different, but I look at the OCD as a classic, but it's also this like Tube Screamer-esque, put it in front of, get a light drive or push an amp. So Although I'm not going to say it can't do what you're asking right there, I don't think that's exactly what I would suggest for that. For me, if I was looking for that kind of sound, that mid to high gain sound, the pedals I would be looking at, besides a plethora of others, but these are the ones that I currently own, is the 68 by Lawrence Petros, or the Wampler Plexi Drive, or the Carl Martin Plexi Drive. In fact, stick with anything that says that's alluding that it's a Marshall typed tone. If you want a Marshall tone, it's all about being nasal and mid-range, and that's what's great about Marshalls. Those mids just cut right through, and so that's what you're looking for in a pedal. And then I would even try, what's another one? There's another one. There's so many good Plexi Drive pedals that I like. So try those. Let's see. Okay, Magnus wants to know, hey, Phil, will you be reviewing any of the new Chapman guitars? I went to the Chapman booth. I went with Joe on Saturday, and we looked at the stuff. I thought the new V's were cool. Still haven't decided, because at this point, what has to happen is I have to buy a Chapman guitar to review it. And because they don't seem... I tried to be a dealer, and I thought that would be an interesting way to get involved with them, and that didn't work out. And so then I thought maybe, I could try to reach out to them and see but they'd ship me one, because when I do reviews, sometimes what I like is them to ship me the stuff, I review it, and I ship it back, or sometimes, unfortunately, I fall in love with it, so I just ask them, hey, for a deal, would you give me a deal? Who doesn't like a deal? I will put it on my agenda. I know it's a big thing. You know what I mean? I hate to say it, it's like there's a couple brands, and Chapman's one of them, that like, even the Squires, that a lot of you guys and gals out there are like, hey, could you check these out? Can you review these? And I know what it's like when one of the channels that I like to watch too, I like it when they finally review something that I'm interested in, because it gives me a perspective if we think alike, right? So that's a long way of saying I will try my best to check them out. Let's see. Pot the Band says, I picked up a Yamaha THR 100. Love the hell out of it. That thing was awesome. I tried one at a Guitar Center, and I was really digging it. I just didn't dig the $400, but I really think that has got to be the best little amp out there, right? A THR 100. Unless I'm wrong, but that's what I think that is, right? That amp. Let's see. Nate wants to know, did I enjoy the NAMM this year? I did, kinda. Right? So let's start with this. The NAMM was long, and it was grueling, because that's what it is, and it was fun because I always enjoy the NAMM. There were so many people at the NAMM show that came up to me. Like I said, there was a plethora of people wearing the shirts, a plethora of people, giving me high fives and shaking my hand, and it was just really cool. And you guys were amazing, and I feel like I said, we have a community out there, and it felt really, really good. Speaking of community, there's 356 of you watching right now, which is really fantastic. But yeah, so yes, I did enjoy the NAMM. There was a lot of talk of the NAMM being antiquated, and I really do feel that is unfortunate, the truth of the NAMM. So I'm hoping they're going to make some changes soon. And other than that, I had a great time. Let's see. Okay, so Miroslav is saying, I hope Miroslav is saying, hey Phil, I've been playing for 2 years, and I want to buy a Squire Bullet. Is it good? My thing is, I have one. It's in the hallway. I have Wiggins pickups in it. Here's the thing. I don't think if you've been playing for 2 years that you should buy a Squire Bullet unless your funds are, you're strapped to $130, which is what that guitar is. But here's the thing. If you're strapped and you're at 2 years and it's about upgrades, right? That guitar's a great starter guitar, but now it's time to upgrade. Don't forget, we do live in a world now where you could be listening to me right now while you're searching the internet for your great used $130 guitar. So find yourself a great $130 guitar. What's funny this week happened to me was a person traded in a guitar, a Japanese Jackson, and it was only worth $250 to $300 in mint condition. It's a Japanese-made alder body with Seymour Duncan pickups. And I know that's a far cry over the Bullets, double the price, but you understand what I'm saying. There are great deals out there to be had used. So check those out. Red Hood says, Phil, how to tame the Fender DeVille clean channel as a pedal slave? Thanks. I have a video about that, Red Hood. It's the the DeVille Deluxe. It works on all of them. It's putting the 12AX7 tube in there. That's the first thing I recommend because it's only $10. Get the JJ1, JJ12 AT7 tube, and check that out. But like I said, watch that video. It's real fast. It's easy. Anyone can do it. I would tame the beast, no problem. And I think it makes your pedals sound even better. Pierre says, bonjour, Felipe. Hi, thank you. My sister used to call me Felipe when I think she was making fun of me. But I like it. I like the name. Let's see. Chuck26 says, need one of the new Pro Telecasters. Yeah, they are nice, right? I love the butterscotch one and the new gray blue. Let's see. And always forgive me, guys. I'm just trying to read all these. Like, you guys have like weird acronym kind of names. Elmo Plump. That's a cool name. Elmo Plum. Picked up a new G2655. Fantastic X. Yeah, right? That's always cool. New Guitar Day is like the best day, right? You get the new, right? I interviewed Paul Reed Smith at the NAMM show, and I've been holding the video back because it was a weird video. But one of the things he said pedals are like opiates. That we just seek them out for like highs. And I kind of feel that way about all this gear. But if you're going to be addicted to something, at least you can resell this stuff. It doesn't ruin your family life, and it's pretty. So, and let's see. Next, let's go down. I'm falling behind, guys. Let's see. The next one was okay, so what do you think of Dean Zielinski private label guitars? I haven't tried them, but I know he just got a article written up in Guitar World or Premier Guitar, something like that, about the Z Glide neck. And I have worked on a couple of those guitars, and they are interesting necks. And the sad thing is, that's a neck I think that could appeal to a lot of players, but it's definitely a neck that's impossible to tell somebody that they would like it or not without them touching it. So I don't know how he's going to be a direct-to-consumer with a product that's no one has a reference of, other than he's got a great return policy. I guess if you send it, he'll send it back. But you know, it'd be great if he could take defective necks, cut them in chunks, and let you send them for samples and touch them. Let's see. EJ says, some of your thoughts on the PRS Custom 2224s from the 90s and how the neck measures. So this is a controversial thing. If you're a Paul Reed Smith fan, everybody's got an opinion on this. I just got to tell you mine. Mine is that his guitars get better and better. The proof is I have owned a half a dozen of Paul Reed Smith Custom 24s and 22s, and what happens is every couple years, the next one is so much better than the one I have. I got rid of it. And there's some people believe the opposite, that they were the best a long time ago and they're just not the same. But I feel like he just keeps improving them. You know, let's be honest. He's 30 years in to his company, and he's really in he's hit the prime of what he knows to do. Right? He was a good builder before. He's a masterful builder now as a company. So, but they're still fantastic guitars. But one thing I will say this: I really do think that he didn't figure out pickups until 2007. So everything pre 2007 on the pickups, I'm not a real big fan of. I don't have a problem with them; they sound fine. But I think he really nailed it when he started with the 5707s, 5909s. 8515s, so on and so on, right? 58 somethings. It gets a little tricky. The metals. Let's see. All right. Okay. So Hakeem is saying, I'm really in need of a new amp. Operating on a student budget, so I'm trying to save money wherever possible. Do you have any tips on something Blues Junior-ish but cheaper? Thank you. Yes, but find yourself a Peavey Classic 30 made in the USA for dirt cheap. You'll pick one up for $250, right? I promise. Just find them. They're out there. Like I said, anytime you guys say anything about trying to find budget stuff, there's always, don't ever forget, I'll say it forever and ever, there's a plethora of unsellable, very well built, old American Peavey stuff that could totally be used, and you can find a reasonable price, and in most cases sell it for what you paid for it. So when you're ready to get the better amp because the budget's opened up, right, for you, then you get that money back. It's like a little savings account, but you get to use the amp the entire time. So and don't be afraid. The fact that most of those Peavey amps out there for sale haven't been selling, so just throw offers out. So Reflection 1989 says, Phil, on the topic of tube amps, what are your thoughts on the Kemper head? There's another manufacturer competing with Kemper on some technology, but forgot their name. Yeah, and the Kemper front, I mean, obviously there's bias and there's axe effects, and we talked about this earlier in the video. So Reflection, you'll have to look at what I said earlier about that. I'm definitely going to be looking into that stuff. I'm really feel more akin to the Kemper stuff from what I read and see. But I'll be doing that experiment this year. Maybe we'll figure it all out together, right? Which will be nice. And there's 373 of you guys watching right now, which is really awesome. Nathan's here. Nathan is an employee for PRS. He says, Nathan, checking in from PRS Guitars in Maryland. So, hey, Nathan. Heard you're getting your Tremonti painted and stained. I saw the purple. I guess you're going to do. It looks fantastic. I totally think that's a great guitar. Lawrence Petro says, the amount of gain is what caused the hiss on a tube amp. Oh, okay. He's answering a question for somebody. Then I'm just repeating it. So that's the answer if you didn't miss that. Let's see. Panhandle Gear. Hey, what's up? Says, what's up, Phil? So I'm saying what's up back. It's good to hear from you. How you been doing? I know you haven't put out any videos in a long time, but that's okay, right? Let's see. The only Larson says, good amp for home use that can also do small gigs. Solid state right now, I'm going to go Katana. I know it sounds horrible because, you know, everybody's on the Katana bandwagon, but when something's good and it's inexpensive, it's hard to beat. In the tube amp world, you know, I like Hot Rod Deluxes, I like Blues Juniors. There's a ton of amps. It's a hard question to answer without any kind of feedback, you know, right? Without knowing what kind of gig situations, what kind of music. So that stuff's tough, right? Justin says he's restoring a guitar and e-tips. Yeah, Justin, you know, take advantage of the fact that the information is out there free. You know, people worked very hard for a long time to acquire the knowledge they have on restoring guitars and building guitars, and now it's all free out there and put out there on the internet. You know, and if you're going to restore guitars, the first place you need to obviously be aware of is StewMac. If you're not familiar with StewMac, you need to be very, very aware of them. They are a tool company, but they also have tons of videos on the tools. So even though the tools are kind of pricey, if you don't have, they're out of your budget, you can at least watch the video about the tools and then try to find a workaround of the tools, right? You know, in the Army, we used to say, use what you got. So I follow that philosophy. Sometimes you have to use what you got when you're a home builder, home kind of repair guy. So do that. That's my advice. Troy says, good morning from New Zealand. Weekly McKnight banter. Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it, Troy. Grant's from Vancouver Island. He's like, great show. Thank you. Let's see. And again, if I'm skipping anything or missing it, I am sorry. But like I said, they kind of fly by fast. And I think I'm at the point where I need to get glasses. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Ben wants to know recommendations on a mini head for classic rock sound that's inexpensive. Yes, but I don't know what inexpensive means, right? That's tough, right? But a mini head for classic rock, that classic 20 we were talking about from Peavey, that's like $500. Again, these are the retails. I think the Egnator Tweaker would be cool. Egnator Rebel 20 would be cool. Again, I don't know what inexpensive your budget means. Classic rock, you could do the Black Star 20. I mean, there's a ton of great tube amps in the mini head range. I mean, I could name them for a while. So there's a lot of great amps out there, you know, and but those are some of the ones I've had experience with and I've had good luck with and thought they sounded good. Okay, so Ryan said it's the second time, so okay, let's get to it. Hi, Phil. Are you into acoustics at all? I'm an acoustic fingerstylist, but I love to watch your videos on electric amps. Yes, I do. I have a quite a bit of acoustics. You know, it sucks. It's part of the YouTube problem, which is everybody says, hey, you should do more bass videos or acoustic videos. I do one and nobody watches it. And I know you watched it and I know some people watched it. But it is tough because the videos take up all about the same time to make. So it feels more fulfilled when so many more people watch one. But that's just something that I've had to get out of my head now. And that's my point. So what I would like to do now is like kind of like how I have my flow now, which is to do the live event on Friday, to always put one out by Wednesday, you know, right? An educational video, then a review video, then a fun, you know, I try to do what I call the educational videos, you know, something fun and interesting to learn. And so my plan would be to start interjecting the acoustics and the bass ones as well, and realize that I've gone too many videos without doing one of those. So that'll all come to bear, I promise. Let's see. Russell saying, hey, I recently received a G&L AST Deluxe and Blackstar ID 15 amp. Slowly learning to play. Love it. Yeah, Russell, you know, the G&L guitars are fantastic. Another company I reached out to and really didn't get anywhere with, but man, hands down, great stuff, best prices. I'm on a mission. I think they're really undervalued. I'm watching Squire, and I'm watching a lot of you guys, and you guys really talk about Squire, and Andertons are talking about Squire, and everybody's talking about Squire, and it's great stuff. But I think you're forgetting that there's other options like those G&Ls out there that are just fantastic, if not better, and the same price or less. So, and I'm not saying to get those over the Squires, just don't forget those are an option that are really cool. Nathan says, Nathan, how long is it going to be for you order a single cut 594? I ordered a single cut 594 during the interview with Paul Reed Smith. So the interview I did with Paul Reed Smith was 16 minutes long, and it was very awkward. Kind of, because I was saying weird stuff because I'm kind of weird, and he was taking it well, I thought, but awkwardly. And in that banter, so you know, Nathan, I was telling him that I liked the 594, I loved it, except for the fact that I want a single cut, and he was saying the guitar players are never happy, and I said, well, but yeah, you have a single cut. And so, long story short, I ordered one. So I was told though it's going to take 5 months. My plan is then I would get rid of my Les Paul. So to pay for that. Hi Phil, what's your opinion on Engel amps? I've owned a couple Engel amps. I had the what was it called? Gigmeister? Is that the right one? The 30? Was the Gigmeister, right? Yeah, because I'm thinking Tubemeister is the Hughes and Kinder. I got the Gigmaster, whatever it is. I had that one, and then I've played through the Powerball. I've played through the Iron Ball, which is a smaller amp. Engel, great stuff. Cool company. In fact, I've dealt, like I said, in the past we were dealer for them. Good guys to deal with. Good company, good attitude. Nothing bad to say. High gain amps. Let's see. What do you think of G&L Guitars made in Indonesia? And that's Kenneth. You know what? I think the quality is on those legacies. They're fantastic, right? Fantastic. So I mean, that's just how it's going to work. Indonesia is just like this is the subject we keep talking about. The inexpensive guitars are good. There's no question about that. So those guitars are really good. And to be honest with you, at the price points they're offering them at, I mean, they're as good as, if not as better as the Mexican-made stuff by Fender and the same price points. And then I sit there and I go, yeah, but Fender's made in Mexico and they're made in Indonesia. And then I realize I don't even know why that would even matter anymore. I don't even think I care, right? I think it's fine to have patriotic pride. That's important. And I think it's also to be important of, hey, where I live is probably where I want money to be, right? Where you live is probably where you want the money to be. Nothing wrong with that. But as far as where stuff's getting made, I think those lines are getting very blurry in the quality aspects of it. So, okay. Next one. Somebody's saying you never have enough guitars. Yeah. It's possible. Hi Phil, what's the deal with those Supro amps? Any reviews coming? Well, if you saw before, I was talking about the frustration I had was there's so many amps and they're so good. I just didn't know which one to finally get. So I ended up buying one, and so I just haven't done the review yet. But yeah, I'll get the review out. That's just how it works, right? It's about time in the day and stuff, right? The holidays really sucked up a lot of time for me. And then the NAMM show sucked up a lot of time for me. So that's all. Trying to get to everything. It looks like the skies have cleared. Next one is Drew. Drew says, hey, Phil, do you like EMGs? I do like EMGs. I'm not an EMG, proponent fan. Like, I don't put them in all my guitars and stuff, but I do like them. Some of the best sounding guitars I've ever owned had EMGs in them. And, good stuff. I have no issues with active electronics. I think the idea behind them is very, very good. And so, very cool. Let's see. Gordon says, hi from El Paso. And next is, and David saying, greetings from New Jersey. Okay, so, here's what it is. Okay, can you... Okay, so Mike, this is a little tough question to try to answer in a short shot, but it's Mike saying, hey, can you explain the Buzz Feiten system or Feiten system? Basically, think about this. The Buzz Feiten system is no different in concept like the Irvana system. That's what Music Man uses and a lot of companies use. Then the fan fret system. The idea that the distance between the nut and the bridge. Actually, that's a better way to explain it. Here's how I'll explain it real fast, Mike. The idea of the buzz feeding system is to cut the nut so that the strings, just like the bridge, have different points. In other words, different distances. So where, for argument's sake, where one is 24 3/4, and then one will be slightly longer than that, and one will be slightly under that, right? It's just different distances. So it's a compensated system. And he teaches you to do it. You become buzz feeding certified. There is no so when you see buzz feeding on a guitar, like the buzz feeding system on Washburn, a lot of companies, that's not a thing that they buy. That's a technique that they were taught to do. Apparently is how it works. I have a friend, his name's Darren Mahoney. He's a master luthier, and he is trained, I think, level 2. They have levels to the buzz feeding system. I think it lets you know how consistent they are. I've never been trained on the system. Not anybody ever asked me to do it. So if somebody asked me to do it, I might have put some money and done it, but no one ever came in and said, hey, can you do this? But I've owned my Nuno Bittencourt, that swirl green guitar, has it. So, okay. Canning says, what do you think of the Dunlop Roto Vibe? It's great. It's just huge, right? It's like another giant wah pedal in your thing. I mean, it sounds fantastic, but it's a huge wah pedal size pedal. So other than that, I think it's fantastic, right? Let's see. Let's see, what else? Let's go down a couple more. Okay, whoops. Okay, what is it like to play a Les Paul? Like working out with dumbbells, because they're heavy. I don't know what it's like to play a Les Paul. It's like, it's actually like, I'll tell you what it's like. That's why I think that's why they're going to be there forever. It's like you're holding a piece of history. That's what it's like. You realize that there's so much music been created on this thing. Not this exact guitar, but this one. But a guitar just like that. And that's what's cool. And that's why Gibson and Fender are always going to be, and Gretsch and all these guys are always going to be around forever, because this great music was made on these amazing instruments at the time. And so every time I pick one up, that's what it is to me. It's a compulsion. I feel like, wow, I own a piece of history, and so to speak. Passy's saying, Phil or anyone looking at RG565, any around there, Phil? I haven't seen any around or anything. Is that the question? Great guitar though. Let's see. Okay, so D wants to know, what is the difference between the Friedman Dirty Shirley and the Victory Sheriff 22? Well, I mean, they're obviously trying to go for two slightly different kind of amplifiers, right? I think they're both saying it's kind of a plexi kind of thing. Well, the Victory Sheriff has two channels, right? It has a clean channel and a dirty channel, and the ability to make that clean channel a little dirty. The Dirty Shirley. So here's opinions aside. My opinion is the Dirty Shirley sounds better, but the Victory Sheriff 22 has more feature set, and of course it's less money. So you can't beat that. The Dirty Shirley for me was the $1,500. I own the Runt. It's over there. Whatever that. Right here. I don't even see. I told you I'm looking at it. Remember, my screen's flipped. I bought this because I got it for like, I don't know, under $1,200. If it was, the $1,500 for the Dirty Shirley was just a lot for me to think about, but it is an amp on my radar. I think about it a lot. Let's see. Harry wants to know, orange amps for dirty tone? Yes, absolutely. Orange makes great stuff. In fact, that's a question I get asked a lot. Like, hey, do I own any orange, and if not, why? And I have no explanation why, because every time I plug into them, I like them. I just never pulled the trigger and bought one. Yada sells Ivan. Sure. Have you listened to Steve Vai's new album, Modern Primitive? Yes, I got it when it came out. I was very excited about it when it came out. Mostly because I'm a huge Stu Ham fan. I have a Stu Ham bass right there, and so, when I heard Stu did a couple tracks with them, I was very excited about that. Okay, so this one's the one I get a lot. This is Vivid. I can't say your name. I'm sorry. Evigen? Anyways, says, hey, what's your favorite guitar? My favorite guitar is toggles between my Paul Reed Smith Mira, which is my beat up Mira, and my Copper Strat. I know you can't see it, it's out of scene, but those two guitars. Because a guitar, to me, when I play it a lot, it's about comfort. Those two guitars are just comfortable and sounds good. Shut Up, Let's Talk says, what do you think of the Dean guitars? I've never hear you talking about them. Yeah, you know, every market's different. In Arizona, what happened was Dean became the guitar that every music store in the city had dirt cheap, and you just were sick of looking at $99 Deans everywhere. So I kind of, like a lot of people in my area, Dean became this like, Dean, they're everywhere. But great stuff. I took a lot of pictures of them at the NAMM show. I've always respected Dean Zielinski. I know he's not with Dean anymore, but they're still his designs. No, Dean's great stuff. I like it like LTD, right? And you know what Dean does that's really cool to me? They do all the weird stuff, right? They do the weird acoustic basses and weird guitars and fun, you know, fun designs and fun crazy stuff. And it's just a fun, cool company. So yeah, and that's also a mistake. So, you know, for me, and I just cop to it right now. So, you know, when you start making YouTube videos, people get confused because I do reviews on the YouTube videos, but my videos, if you look at the videos I've created over the last almost, 2 years, the top 20 videos and views are not reviews. They're like instructional or informational videos. So I do focus a lot more on making these kind of fun videos where hopefully everybody learns a little something and we have some fun. And then I do the review videos. And as a reviewer, for some reason, I got caught up like everybody else in you got to blow everybody's doors off with something exciting and expensive. And what I realized is that you guys really don't care about that stuff as much. And I didn't care about it. I just was trying to fulfill like what I thought I was supposed to do. So you're going to see this year a lot more reviews on a lot more affordable product. In fact, I want to spend a lot of time showing how $200 guitars can rock the world. So we're going to go into that a little bit more this year. Next was The Only Larson. I need to downgrade from a DSL 50 head to a 212 cab. Sorry, DSL 50 head and 212 cab. What's a good option for bedroom small gigs? Well, you could get the DSL 15 and put that through a 112 cab. I mean, right? If you like, I mean, you're not saying you don't like the DSL 50. If you like that amp, just downgrade the wattage and you'll be fine. That's something to think about for sure, right? And then I might say this wrong, Pierre. You want to know what do I think of the Viger guitars? Is it Viger? I'm thinking of like Star Trek, right? I am Viger. The Viger. I'm probably saying it wrong. I checked them out at the NAMM show. They're fantastic. They're expensive and great. Right? It's another $3,000 guitar. You know, at the NAMM show, I'll tell you, somebody asked me what was the thing that I was like not excited about the NAMM show. And I didn't know what to say. And I thought, everybody kept saying, what, pedals? Pedals? There was a lot of pedals. And I go, yeah. But you know what it was? It was how many high-end guitars there were. There's so many high-end guitars. And don't take this wrong. I'm not saying I think there's too many. I just, after a while, you know, you're like looking at this going, I don't know how I'm going to afford a $5,000 guitar or all the brands that make those. So a lot of great stuff, but man, it's kind of like going to these cool car auctions. It's just, you're good there going, I can't afford any of this stuff. Okay, so hold on, let's jump a little bit. Okay, so J Maxie says, Philip, how important is it to polish your frets to a shiny finish every time you change strings? That's an easy question. I've talked about this many times. So frets are made of generally they're like alchemy. There's a little bit of alchemy going on. They have nickel and there's a brass mix, and then there's how much nickel and steel mix, right? So they mix some stuff in there, and then of course there's stainless steel. But what I remind everybody is that when you use materials like brass in frets, those materials are corrosive. They can corrode, right? And so not when you wear in spots, that's already bad enough, but when you see those little dark spots underneath your strings and your frets, those spots will eventually kind of etch into the frets. And when you bend, they'll eventually become problems, and over time, you'll be wearing out your frets faster. So what do I think? I think every time, at least twice a year, when you oil your neck, if you do that, or when you do a full maintenance service on your guitar, or every so many restrings, but like I said, you know, just you'll have to decide based on how much you play and the climate you live in, because, you know, right, how moist or dry climate. But I would say twice a year, you take some some 4/0 steel wool and get a fret guard or use painter's tape and just polish the frets with that. Make sure you painter's tape over all your pickups so that the magnets don't grab. Some people don't like that material. If you don't like the steel wool because of that reason, the mess, I understand that. I only suggest it because it's cheap and easy to get. However, StewMac sells micro mesh sanding blocks that you can get, and you can get the exact grade of sandpaper on those mesh blocks. So you can get something like, seriously, like 6,000 or even 1,500, you know, right? I would probably go somewhere higher than 1,500, like 2,400, and just polish those frets. So there you go. And actually the better, it goes to 15,000. So you can go, I found no downside to going, because you're not trying to take any material away. You're just trying to polish them. So the answer is polish your frets often. So next is, and we're at the 5-minute warning for the show today. So, and there's 405 of you watching, which is fantastic. And we'll try and pound out some cool questions real fast. Here we go. It says, Jake says, hey Phil, I'm somewhat new to guitar, 7 months now, and I've been noticing that on the very side of some of my frets, they have a bit of blue-green corrosion. How to get rid of it? Yeah, that happens, right? That's what we were just talking about, the fret corrosion stuff. Exactly what I was talking about. You're going to want to clean that stuff. I've seen everybody mention all kinds of stuff. I just use steel wool. Painter's tape and steel wool. That's just like I said, painter's tape, everything that's you think the steel will come in contact with that's not a fret, so tape all that off. Like you're going to paint your, a room in your house and you just painting it, masking it all off. Make sure you put painter's tape and a cloth over the body of the guitar and just go ahead and polish that stuff off. You'll be totally fine. Like I said, triple-aught, you get it at any hardware store or auto body store. It's messy because it leaves little fibers and it can get in the guitar and stuff. That's why you just tape that stuff off. If you don't want to deal with that, like I said, look at micro mesh. The brand is called micro mesh. You get it at StewMac. There's a ton of things. There's even fret erasers, all kinds of other gimmicky kind of things that all work. I found no downside to any of those. Use whatever your budget allows. Let's see. Next. Next was, have you played... Oh, jumped. I'm sorry. Dylan wants to know, hey, Phil, what's your favorite amp of 2017? I don't want to say yet. Obviously, I'm leaning right now to the Sonzera, but I really want to do the shootout against the Archon. I thought the 5150 LBX head was cool, although, to be honest with you, it's really just the actual old head with some small changes, and it's cool, but I can't say, like, it's blowing me away. And really, if you look, right, unless I'm missing something, a lot of companies didn't come out with new amps. Fender didn't have any new amps to speak of. Victory just expanded on a series it already had and made higher wattage versions, but right, I'm not looking for more wattage. So it's the Sonzera really timed it right, man, because their competition line was very small. So we'll see. Everything else that was new was really expensive. Okay, so Ron's got a cool idea. Ron Park's saying, hey, you can also get burnished papers at any good pool Q store for polishing frets. It's like 4,000, 6,000 grit. See? Love it when you guys give suggestions. So that's a good suggestion. I will try that. I'm going to try it. I've never tried that. And sounds like a good idea. I have a guinea pig, or we call it the test dummy guitar, at the shop where I do repairs, and we do every horrible thing to that. So I'll give that a try, Ron, and then we'll share that with everybody. I'll let you know my results. Marissa says, hey Phil, do you like extreme metal genres? I do. I'm a metal guy at heart, right? I mean, I started out as a metal guy, and then I got into, jazz fusion and funk, and like everybody went down the road. I like punk rock a lot. Country, I like everything. I know everybody says that. It's always like a cop-out. But yeah, no, I like extreme metal genres. I like, you know what it is? I like anything new, right? Every time I hear something new, I get excited because I listen to music pretty much all day. I make sure it's in my shop all day. Think of this. Even before I do these live events, I have it playing in the room. I have it at night playing everywhere I drive. Music is 24 hours a day for me. So at some point, you have to listen to a lot of different stuff because no matter what you listen to, you get burned out on it. Let's see. J Max says 405 of us. The video needs more thumbs up, dudes. Oh, that's cool. Thank you for mentioning. Yeah, 480, you guys. That's great. And thumbs ups don't hurt my feelings. So you can do that, no problem. Next was what speakers... Okay, oh, sorry. Okay, so Parson wants to know what speaker soaks or power soaks, what's better? On that front, the Marshall Power Brake is a great deal. You can find those for $200. They work great. The Torpedo one is fantastic, but it's $1,000. The Rivera Rock Crusher is great. Again, in the $500-$600 used, I think, range or something like that. I've found really none of them are good. It's not something you use because you want to. You have to. So it's they're none of them to me are good. It's just, you know, what you have to use. And Joseph is saying you can use Zippo lighter fluid to clean fretboards. Yeah, that's correct, right? A lot of people use that to clean the fretboards. Sean, hey Sean. Sean is saying I hear he mostly likes butt rock. Okay, so Sean is my friend and he's giving me a hard time. He says we should start an 80s tribute band called Rat Poison. So, and I just don't want to wear a wig. Can you imagine that? Dan Trope is, hey Dan, how's it going? Thank you again for the shirt and the pics. Dan says, I'm interested in the Joyo Heads. Yeah, you know, Hinning, which is HP42, he reviewed those. I saw them, right? That looks really cool. Again, there's a lot of cool, you know, and that's a cool thing. Those though, that was all understated at the show. There was a little bit of it there, but not a lot. So again, they, TJ Nugent says, show us a picture of the Torture guitar. You know what, TJ, you will be seeing it because remember I told you guys earlier in this video that I have a repair series that I'm going to be putting out or on setups and stuff. One of the video sections is called Truss Rod Fear and explains how truss rods, not so much how they work, but how you should be thinking of them and looking at them. And to illustrate a point, me and my buddy Patrick used a digital torque wrench to show you what you have to do to basically damage truss rods and stuff. We want it. So you'll see the guitar soon enough. And by the way, we didn't damage it. We gave it a good try though. Let's see. And then let's do this. We'll do 3 more questions and then we'll have to call it, unfortunately. Okay, so let's see. The next is MB215 says, oh, he's talking to somebody else. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, let's see. Aiden's saying, what do you do if you have cracks in your rosewood fretboard? Well, first you want to take a look at that because cracks in the fretboard sometimes can make the frets lift out. So, you know, to be honest with you, in a short answer, you probably want to take it to a local luthier and have them look at it before, because I'd have to see it to know what's the course of action I'd want you to do. Next. Okay, let's do, okay, 2 more. Ready? And, is it dinner time? What's your favorite dinner? You know, my favorite dinner is, you know, I don't know. I should know that, right? You know, my wife asked me that a couple hours ago, what do you want for dinner? And I told her I don't care. So I guess I got to be consistent. I guess I don't care. I actually, you know what my favorite dinner is? The ones I don't have to decide what it is. I just kind of like things to happen without having to think about that stuff. Let's see. What is the best budget cabinet simulator? Oh, you know, I don't know. A budget one. Because all the ones I know are expensive. You know, that's a good question. I don't know who, I mean, everybody that makes ones. You know, I know Immerse has got a new one, but I don't know if it's, you know, what the price is. So I'll have to pass on that one. Let's see if I got another one real quick. Let's see. Somebody wants to know what's my opinion on Hughes and Kittner amps. I like them. You know, right? I mean, they're great. They look cool. And last question. Ready? Yeah, Ethan's saying, did you meet Paul Reed Smith at NAMM? Yeah, I interviewed him for 15 minutes. I just didn't put the interview up. It eventually will go up in a weird way. I'll format it. It was my interview was much different than everyone else's that did an interview with him. Everybody else was like very good, but My questions were definitely not normal, and his answers and response to my questions was awkward. So I don't think he was prepared for what I was doing. I think he was waiting for what everybody else asked him. How was NAMM? What do you think of the new John Mayer amp? What do you think of Sonzera? And instead I came at him and said, do you think it, do you think this is going to finally put your amps on the map, since they've been off the grid for so long, no one really thought of them. I don't think he took that really well. The other thing I said that was really awkward was I asked him if he would ever make an Archon pedal, and he told me he would never ever make pedals ever, which I thought was a good question, but I don't think he enjoyed it so much. TJ Newton says Sweetwater has a cab simulator for $99 and from Hughes and Kinder. So there you go. You know what? The red box. Is that the red box? Yeah, great, TJ. That was perfect. I forgot all about that. And then somebody says post the interview. I will. I just, like I said, everything comes in due time. Yeah, TJ's like, he was thinking, who is this bald guy? I have met Paul a couple times, and I think every time I've said something wacky to him that's always ended the moment oddly. Most of his interviews are kind of awkward. So, yeah. Okay, so the last one. Was, are the new PRS S2 guitars worth the money? Well, that's from the Broken 180. The truth is, they are, because they're cheaper than Fender Strats now. So I don't know what that is, right? I mean, if we're gonna argue that you can buy a Squire Strat that's as good as an American Strat, I will take that argument. I'll say, yeah, that can happen. I've seen it. So then we know the appeal of the American Strat is that it's an American-made product and it has a prestige to it and a history to it. Okay, fine. But if that's the argument, that the value is based on the fact that it's built in America, well, the fact that Paul Reed Smith and Kiesel are building guitars for $1,000 or $1,500, it gives it value. So yeah, they are worth it in the idea that they're half the price of a core guitar. And to be honest with you, they're really how I look at S2s now. It's took me a while to come to this conclusion. They're like buying base model cars. They're just not fancied up. They don't have the wood trim. They don't have the cool looking rims, right? But, but where it matters, they're there. So again, it's a slimmed down model, but still, that's great. So let's see. And that is the end of today's episode. Like I said, this is the 13th one, and it was on time today. They will be on time, and I will actually start posting the link at the beginning of the week to tell you. And we have some guests coming this month. Larry Mitchell said he's going to come on. I actually have some other really cool guests that are also agreed that they want to come on. I'm sorry, I'm just getting sidetracked. And as you guys know, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a big deal. That's amazing when you guys do this. There was, like I said, over 400 of you today. And as always, I just want to thank you guys for your time and know your gear.